This meeting is being recorded.
Michael, you want to do the intro?
Yes. Hey, PHS. Welcome to Don't Knuckle Talk with Flo. And I'm introducing you to my amazing co-host, Lisa Nolan.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Lisa.
Can we talk now?
No.
Okay.
Just go ahead, Lisa. Go ahead.
Okay, so tonight we have a special edition of Go Knuckle Talk with Flo with these fabulous guys who've agreed to join us tonight. And the title of our podcast tonight is Glory Days. It's kind of a take from Dazed and Confused, and I thought that was really brilliant. So without further ado, let's welcome our guests, be Terrell, Robert Bradic, Blake Barton, and Moe Evans. And we are missing Dean Taple because he is stuck on a delayed flight. Anyway, welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. This means so much to Michael and I. And thanks for bearing with us. Well, we've had some technical difficulties today, but so being where you are, and Blake told us earlier that he lives in Tucson, and Moe, you're still in Lubbock, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Robert, where are you living now?
Bentonville, Arkansas.
Oh, wow. I'm going to Bentonville in a couple of months.
Say hi when you get here.
I will. My husband mountain bikes, and so we head out there for that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mountain bike capital of the world, hill country.
Yeah. It's a really cool place. I went for the first time last summer.
Right on.
So I think Michael's trying to find a better location for his connection. Outside seems to be good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. So much better. Okay, I'm gonna hang up, Michael. We can't. You're muted.
Hey guys, sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Much better.
Good. All right. Hey, again, welcome to our show. And it's been it's going on 41 years since you guys played football back on the Play Me football field. So let's get started with some questions. When I guess everyone you guys played Tiger League, I assume you did, but what motivated you guys to play football?
It's just for me, right. I just moved to Plainview, and I was kind of the big fat kid, and I really probably one of my only friends at that time was Bradic, and we met when I early got to Plainview, and but that's what I always wanted to do, is get to go play football. So anyway, and then I wanted to hit some of those guys I didn't like. So anyway, so I guess
what about you, B?
Motivation.
I don't know. My dad kind of threw me out there and made me play. I was too fat to be a good basketball player, so I had to play football.
You had a good shot. You had a good shot.
Robert?
I didn't want to work for my dad. Just go straight up. Either I do that, either I be active, get out of the house and play some sports, or he's going to put my ass on a shovel. And I didn't want to do it. So
yeah, he owned
it happened anyway.
Business. He owned a concrete business, didn't he?
He did. He sure did. Ronnie has that business now. My brother Ronnie has it now.
Oh, good for him. All right, Mr. Barton, Blake, how you doing, sir?
Good.
What inspired you to play football?
Well, I started playing sandlot football when I was about 6. My neighborhood had a little park, and some of the kids invited me to play, and I just loved it, and so I just kept going. We played almost every day down there during the fall and winter, and so I just and my dad was a football player, and he always watched it, so it's just something I just love to do.
So who Tiger League? Robert? What team did you play for? The Browns, right?
Browns. Mm-hmm.
B.
Same one.
About?
Hey, Robert doesn't remember this. I had to be the fullback so he could remember where to run.
Yeah.
He was the tailback.
Tailback, right.
Moe,
Right.
who would you play for?
I think it's the Raiders.
Oh, you played with me then. Blake, I think you're on my team too, right?
No, I was on the Lions.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Who was
Yeah,
our coach? Was Bobby and Tom Hall our coaches?
No, Alton.
They were
my
the
dad-
Broncos.
That was the
No, my-
Broncos. I think.
Then that's what I was on the Broncos. They were my coaches. Bobby
Okay.
and Tom
Okay.
were.
You know, I have to apologize to Robert because back when we were playing in Tiger League, Alton Jackson Sr., he told us when we tackle your ass to pinch you, to bite you, and we followed his direction. And
You had better do something to slow them 6 or 7 touchdowns down, baby. I'll tell you right
I
now.
know, right?
And I guarantee
Yeah,
you,
they did it too.
very
You guys
hard.
did it too.
And then the All-Stars played the Browns, if I recall. I think the All-Stars either won or we tied.
I think it was a tie for some
Yeah,
reason.
I don't know. Y'all might have won. We were ahead,
I
and
think the All-Stars beat us, Robert.
Really?
yeah,
I think we
yeah.
lost.
I
the
believe they
game by
won. That's right.
one touchdown, I think, or something.
Something like that. Yep.
You know why I said the Raiders? I remember a picture popped into my head, and I was number 31, and it was a black and white uniform. So I think that was the All-Star. It was the only time I had that kind of number ever.
31.
Mhm.
The Browns cheerleader.
Uh-oh.
Mhm.
Oh,
I still have
yeah.
my uniform.
Do you still fit in?
I do. I still fit into all of my cheerleading uniforms. Thank you
Get
very
outta
much.
here. Well, in high school, I'm gonna try to remember what positions you got played. I think Moe was the quarterback. B was the running back, and Barton and Bradic were receivers. Correct?
Sounds about
What are you
right.
talking about?
Positions you guys played.
Close.
You and Brent were wide receivers. I'm kidding. I know
How-
Robert and Blake were.
What time zone was this? What alternative reality was it?
Robert and Blake were linebackers. He
Linebackers.
was left tackle,
Left
and then
tackle.
Moe was guard. Correct?
No, I played right tackle on offense.
Right tackle. Okay, because I know Peter. Oh, I'm getting rained on. Peter Vera was our center.
No, he was the left.
No.
Oh,
He
he
was
was?
the guard.
And
Okay,
Herrera
who
was
was
the
center?
center.
Herrera, what was his name? Was the
Richard.
center?
Benito's little brother.
Herrera.
Herrera. It was
It was his brother was the center right before him, and then he was center our year.
his brother was the inside linebacker before him. Benito was the plugger,
Uh-huh.
and Richard was the center.
No, and his brother was the center. But his brother was the center when we were sophomores.
It was one of them damn Herreras.
Yeah.
I think he's
No.
confusing him with Benito Herrera was the plugger.
Plug.
He was all district at plugger with PW and all them. I was right behind him. I backed him up. And Buchanan Buck was our coach. Wendy Williams moved me on his way out. He moved me from the inside to the outside. Then he took another job.
Okay. And then on offense, Robert was the left guard. I was a right tackle, and Taco was a tight end.
Mm-hmm.
We would flip.
You
Peter
played
was the other
offense, Robert?
guard. Yep.
I didn't
Indeed,
know.
was on
I
the
didn't
other
remember
side.
that. You played both ways.
Yep.
Oh,
I
didn't know
died the
that.
first game we played. I played every down against Estacado, and I almost fell over dead when I got home.
Remember that little old quarterback? We chased him all over the place. What was his name?
For
Estacado.
Estacado?
It was always on the news, me trying to chase him and sack him. He'd throw the ball right before I'd get there.
I don't remember.
I remember.
You're talking about Estacado's quarterback?
Yeah. What was his? Was it Dotson?
You're talking about the pitcher. Yeah.
That's a pitcher. That's Wayne.
Wayne Dotson, he was also the quarterback.
That's
was.
right.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
Wayne.
He was a
threw-
first round. He was a first.
He went to the
round
major leagues. That's exactly right.
Yeah, and he threw in the mid '90s. And here's the trivia: he was drafted before Roger Clemens. I'm not
Yeah.
kidding you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was like
He was
4 or
the third
5.
person,
Yeah.
third person drafted that year in the draft.
And then Clemens was a few after. So it's I googled that. I'm like, oh wow. And then I saw Johnson at Grandy's. He was a cook. I'm like, dude, what happened? He got injured.
Saw who?
So
Wayne
Wayne
Dotson?
Dotson, when he was a cook at Grandy's, they threw his arm out, in the minor leagues. So they just wasted his arm. But
I remember he threw it about 95, 96, and it was
he threw it hard, man.
Holy
He threw it
crap.
hard. So, Miss Lisa, you got any questions? And I'm gonna leave for a second because I'm gonna get me a drink Mo. You can drink. Go ahead.
Give
I'm
me
gonna go
an
get my
open-
cocktail. So I'll be back.
So I don't remember this. When we were in high school, could you play varsity when you were a freshman?
If you were good enough.
So when did you guys all start playing varsity?
I was a sophomore.
Sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
I got moved up to varsity. I was on JV, and then they moved me up for the last game of the season. I was playing halfback at the time, and the starting halfback got hurt, so they moved me up for the last game and then for the playoff game sophomore year.
Yeah. I played on the
And then you
JV.
stayed on varsity after that? You remained on varsity after that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played on JV my sophomore year, and then after the season was over, they went to the playoffs, and I went and sat and watched them there and on the team.
Very cool. So guys, what's your most memorable experience playing football? Whether it was in sixth grade or varsity?
Mo?
You know, I'm kind of weird. I remember the losses, and I remember beating Estacada. I remember losing to Hereford our senior year. I remember the last game of the year at San Angelo where they just screwed us to death. I guess we can say that. It's weird. I do not remember any plays ever. I remember weird stuff, you know. I remember me and Bradic before one game, they'd just come out with the McRib. And we went, got us
Ate too
some
much.
rib. Remember this, Bradic?
Mhm.
And it was the best thing we ever ate. So we got one. I said, let's go get another one. And then he said, let's go get the third one. And we go on this long drive against, I want to say it's Cap Rock. And we get down kind of on the goal line and look over, and Braddock's gone. We couldn't breathe.
Right.
And Robert's gone, and he's over on the sideline throwing up. About that time, we get in a stance, and hell, I threw up in the stance. So it was
Pretty bad.
never eat
Yeah.
3 McRibs before a football game.
Yeah. That's when Coach Sherwood gave that long speech about let us feed you. Let us feed you. When he found out what happened.
Yeah.
You don't feed yourself, let us feed you.
We
Yeah,
had that.
those horrible pancakes that they gave us, man.
And then we probably ate those pancakes too, Bradic. You know?
Yeah. We
I'd
ate. We had to eat
I'd
pregame, yeah.
throw those damn pancakes up right after I ate them. I'd eat them and I'd walk out the damn door and throw them up.
What you guys do? Eat like a dozen of them or what?
No,
Or
shit,
they're
no,
just
I
disgusting?
don't know. You were kind of nervous at the stomach, and then they were disgusting too. So
I did the same thing against Midland Lee with the pancakes. We went to Midland and played, and they didn't stay in me very. I was in the locker room heaving. Coach Hill walks around like, Bradic, you all right? He thought I had the flu. It was the stuff that we were eating. And then, you know, anytime that we got on the bus or whatever to leave, or even if we stayed home, I was at Moe's house when we were raiding their refrigerator. And then we go to Coach Sherwood's table pregame and eat. And it wasn't good. I got used to it after a while, though, I guess, because it just did it a couple of times.
Isn't that funny how times have changed? They wouldn't feed you anything like that now. All
Oh,
the syrup and sugar.
He was going after the sugar and carbohydrates. You
Yeah,
know?
he was.
Yeah.
Big lump of dough in your gut is what you were getting.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, it didn't stay down long. So
So, Blake,
No, it didn't.
Blake, do you have a memorable experience?
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I read your questions. I think it was the feel of the game because, Coach Sherwood, I think he knew a lot about sports psychology. And so our whole day leading up to the game was very ritualistic. We all wore the same shirts. We carried our helmets around. We were supposed to stay quiet, before the game. We took a nap. We went to the pep rally. We took a nap. We had a team meeting without the coaches. So it was all designed, to really focus us. And then after the team meeting, they told us to think about the game and get ready. And so I was able to actually find this state of mind where I was deeply focused. It was almost like I was in a trance, And but then that carried over into the game. And when I would get in the game, once I was on the field, I couldn't hear the crowd, I couldn't hear the band, couldn't hear the cheerleaders, and everything seemed to move in slow motion. And for me, that was just the way football felt on varsity. But looking back on it, that's the elusive zone that people talk about. Getting in the zone, and that whole lead up that we did before the game seemed to get me there. And so it was really cool to be in that state, during the games. all this stuff going on,
Mm-hmm.
and yet totally focused on, on the quarterback and running backs and things like that.
Blake, I want to
No,
piggyback
please.
that if I could.
I was
Yeah.
going to ask, when did they build the field house? Was it built while we were going to school? By the way, I
Yeah.
don't want to get struck
Yeah.
by lightning.
Yeah, it was built
Yeah, I
before
may
we
be-
ever got to high school.
They did that for Royce and them.
Okay.
Yeah, it was there when George Kirk was there because me and old Randy
Mhm.
over there to practice
Yep.
and play. So I remember there was a guy some crazy guy got in there and got with all the high jump mats and got back there with a gun. Y'all remember that
Oh,
at all?
wow.
He had a gun. He was all
Remember that.
nuts. It was kind of a crazy time. That's when old George Kirk was the head coach. And
Oh, wow.
we were little kids up there playing, and they had a situation. So,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Hey, guys, so you mentioned, like Harper and Estacado. I guess the losses, Blake, did you mention the losses that you remember, or most, or one of you guys did?
Mo did, I think.
Okay,
Mo spoke to them.
Mo, what year and what loss really, I mean, besides the playoff, to put you guys out, but is there just one game that sticks out that just got you? I mean,
Well,
Hartford our senior year.
The Hereford our senior year.
I'm still pissed about that.
I'm mad at the San Angelo one. We could have went a good ways, and I guess that one I knew it was over with, and every time I go to San Angelo, I drive by that stadium, and I'd love to find those refs, because they.
So what happened?
Hell, we fumbled 3 or 4 times.
We fumbled.
Yeah, 3
Yep.
times, I think.
Okay.
And one of the things I remember, and I remember one play, we ran a reverse right before half, and we scored, and they called me blocking in the back, and I never touched the guy,
Hey,
and just.
Hey, Mo, do you do a drive-by flip-off?
Oh yes, I do lots of those to lots of places.
Did you guys remember that before the Hereford game, my mom made me a really nice scrapbook with all the clippings, from Plainview, Lubbock, Amarillo papers. We were number 7 in the UPI poll. We were number 7 in the state, and we were number 13 in the AP poll before that loss to Hereford.
Yeah.
wow. Hey, okay, was Harper just a better team, guys, then?
No, shit, no, we missed a damn onside kick and lost the damn game.
Well, I want to say this, and I don't want it to sound like I'm pointing people out or whatever. The only reason I think that it's the same parallel between Hereford and San Angelo. We had a really good defense. It was hard to run the ball on us. And most teams, if they made advancements in 3rd and 4th and long, it was through the pass. And we made this in the secondary playing run when we should have played pass on 4th and long distance. And it happened in both games. Brian with Hereford. Yep, it happened in San Angelo too. 4th and 22, and we get caught looking in the backfield coming up like they're going to run and ran it since the first quarter. They ran pretty effectively, but after that we shut it down. And in Hereford, it was Greg Carter, the ball over his head. In San Angelo, it was Quinton Dunlap coming up. And I'm good friends with the quarterback now. He went to Arkansas, and I was at Texas, and we played against each other. And we talk about that all the time when I see him. He comes up here for these guys down the way over at Fayetteville. Mm-hmm. And the thing he says about that team was that when they were getting ready to play Plainview, they never really expected to score the way they scored. And I thought that if anybody could score on us was through the pass, right? But they really never, he said, we didn't think we could pass the ball on you guys. We were focused on running the football. And if you think about it in the first half, that's exactly what they did until we shut them down. And then we started running more effectively. And somebody, I think it was B or Mo, mentioned that the turnovers, right? So when I think about that, it's the turnovers, which they weren't caused. We've dropped the ball, Randy and whatever, fumble the football, Tim Coleman. I'm good friends. Randy's gone, but me and Tim talk occasionally. We all make mistakes. And then when you know that you're playing defense to keep them out of a long situation, in the secondary, if you make any mistake, it's playing the pass, never coming up to play the run. And that's what we did. We're not disciplined like we should. when you're high school, it happens, but you really can't afford to do that. And I think it's Moe that said we were on our way. Had we won that game, we were ending up in the Dallas Metroplex playing teams after we got out of El Paso. One last thing. A teammate of mine named Lee Beckham and Hurst Bell, when we lost, they felt like they were going to have to play us before, but once we lost, which tells me how far ahead people look to games in high school, right? They were looking to have to play Plainview, Texas, and when we lost, they felt like they had a real good chance to win state, and they went to the semifinals.
Yeah.
It's just kind of ironic. They lost to Beaumont Westbrook. That's exactly right. Jerry Ball and all of those guys.
Jerry Ball, yeah.
That's exactly right.
Let me ask you guys this.
Jerry Ball, I see him all the time.
You guys ran a 38 defense, correct? That's what it was called? The 38?
Well, we call it that's traditionally a 62. 38, yeah. But it's when you look at the front.
Let me ask you this. And I'm not going to talk ill will about the coaches because it's obviously a damn good defense. But if you guys ran another defense, would you guys been better?
Michael, it's discipline. If you're in a 43, if you're in a 52, if you're in a 34, it doesn't matter if you're doing shit that's going to get you beat. Excuse me.
Okay.
If you're dropping the football, if you're not where you need to be, right? And if, in my opinion, our secondary should have believed in our front seven. Without a question, a hard time running the ball on Plainview. Okay? That's just like on defense, we knew we could run the ball on offense on anybody. Right? So if you're playing Plainview's offense, you want us to pass. You don't want us running the ball. On defense, you want to be able to run the ball, or you don't, you want to actually pass, right? But you certainly don't want to have to rely on the run. And our secondary team that didn't understand it on long situations, Michael, they're coming up to support, and they were really good about that. But I don't think they're going to turn and pitch the ball and run 22 yards, bro. It can happen. Hereford went 70 our junior year. It can happen. But not on fourth down, you have to put. Yeah.
Well, the reason I was asking because I stopped. I played through my junior year, and I stopped because I wanted to concentrate in baseball. But I remember I played safety. It's like it was a quarterback, two quarterbacks, and a safety, and I took care of the middle third, and then the third and the third. I was like, that's a lot of land, a lot of acreage to cover. So that's why I was wondering if you had four defensive back, a safety, strong safety, like your traditional defense, because that would have helped. Well, that would have helped or no?
Nobody could pass. Nobody hardly passed.
Right.
They did occasionally. Hell, we
Put some
threw
pressure
one pass a game or something. I mean, that was our average. And so,
Well, they do that. Was designed to shut down the option.
it was made to stop the run. I mean, that's what it did.
Okay.
Michael, keep this in mind too. In both those games, they had single out, bro. Because of the 6-man front and the pressure, they kept people to protect the quarterback. Really, one receiver went out. Go back and look. Brian Taylor and the other kid in San Angelo. It's a matter of discipline and not looking in the backfield, getting up the field with the receiver, get your hands on the guy, and don't let him catch the football. It's better to take a penalty than let him catch the football. Because you're giving up that's what we did. We gave up touchdown.
All right. I'm going to ask you guys a question that wasn't on the list. I know you guys have put a hit and knocked someone's ass on the ground. I know you guys can remember those hits, but can you tell me of time when you got your ass lit and they got the best of you? And be honest, guys, it goes both ways.
I'll do. I guess the one that probably hurt more than anything is we were playing at Lubbock High, and we had a little tackle trap. And Lubbock High had this little Spanish guy, and his name was Santiago.
About this tall and that wide.
He was about 3 foot tall and about 240. And I pulled down there, and he stuck his head right between my legs, and it like to killed me. And he was waiting on it too, because tackles, offside tackles went and guards moved, and he was sitting right there because we ran that play a lot. We ran it well. It was, what was it, 234 belly? You know what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds about right.
I mean, boy, but I mean, that was probably the hardest I ever got hit in any of it. It hurt.
Yeah. What about you, Blake?
Yeah, I can remember on JV, we were playing Estacado on a Saturday morning at like 10 o'clock. And it had rained the night before and it was really humid. But I was playing running back and I ran a little slant in and the ball was thrown high. And I stepped up, reached way up to catch it like this. And 2 safeties hit me about the same time in the back of the head. And it really rung my bell. And that was about the hardest I can remember getting hit.
Bradic?
Well, honestly, it didn't happen in high school. It happened when we played Moe in Texas Tech in Lubbock, Texas. Aubrey Richburg concussed me on the opening kickoff of the second half. He sure as hell did, right? I saw my feet. He hit me on the side, and I literally saw my feet in front. And when I hit the ground, my head slammed on that turf. I got up, like you get up and run off the field, and my ears were ringing, and I felt pressure, like in my sinuses right here. And then the next morning when I woke up, you know how you have that little, like you have pink eye or the little blood in your ear, right?
Wow.
And so he couldn't do that shit in high school. He did it when we got out of high school, but it still counts. That was the hardest I've ever hit in my life, man. In my life.
He did
mine
that
was
several
kind
times.
mine was a freaky deal. We were running and I don't even remember who we were playing, but y'all remember this, it knocked me goofy, but we were running a pass play.
You never got over it, B.
I know. I back up and I hit the guy in the knee, and right as I hit him in the knee, somehow it got me right underneath the damn chin. And I don't remember the game. Don't remember shit about the game.
Damn.
And it went on for a day or two, man. I had a horrible headache. And anyway, that was kind of weird.
Hey, B, didn't Coach Bill used to call you Cobra?
Yeah, he still does sometimes.
Does he?
Yeah, he calls me every day. I get a phone call. Well, I get a text every day. He calls me every Saturday at a certain time, and he goes, "How you doing, young man?" "I'm doing okay." Hangs up like we're paying extra money for long distance. But anyway, yeah,
He's caught in the day.
Robert gave me my first concussion in Tiger League. I was running with the ball and Robert hit me at the ankles and I flipped up and came down on my head. We had the little helmets with the little, had the mesh in it. And that was my first concussion, thanks to Robert.
Blake, you probably was the hardest running running back out of all of us. I mean, there may have been people with more speed or whatever. And I guess I ran through people, but I tried to outrun them more than just trying to run through them. But there was a reason why I hit you low. Okay? There was a reason why I went low. And we were about the same size, but I wasn't going up too high. I wasn't going to do it too high.
It'd be funny you say that low hit. Greg Carter and I were on a team. It may have been Tiger League or eighth. I don't know. Michael Kozar was opposing us, or was it some other guy? But Greg says, "You hit him high, I hit him low." Man, we would tear this kid's ass every time, man.
Wow.
So bad.
You're mentioning people I hadn't even thought about, man.
Yeah.
Is he still with us?
I don't know. I mean, of course, Mr. Carter, rest in peace.
He's gone, I know.
Yeah. And then, Robert, the last time I've seen you, I saw you on the sidelines on TV on one of the Texas games. So, yeah, that is the last time I've seen you, man, over 40 years ago.
40 years ago. Mm.
Yeah. All right, Miss Lisa, come on, jump on in. I know this is all men.
Do you remember who your biggest rivals were in high school? And not a team, like a player that you just was really your nemesis.
Hey, guys, before you answer that, was it Hereford was it our junior or senior year when they had like 5 or 19-year-olds, or they held players that one year? I think it was the 82 season.
That was our junior year. That was Aubrey Richburg.
That was when they put that HHS in the middle. They burned, or I think Coach Sherwood did it, but somebody burned a big HHS in the middle of the field. And we were also, y'all remember that? We were also pissed off. Those sons of bitches, Coach Sherwood did. And then they would send him the black flowers. He said, "This is what they sent me." He went down.
You probably bought them.
flower nook or something, and had them drunk. But
No, anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Robert. Answer if you could answer Lisa. Who's the one player you really wanted to just knock his ass?
Well, I didn't have any love lost for Herford. And I guess Alfred Ball, although for a very long time, Alfred and myself were friends, except for when we played him. I guess Alfred. I didn't like the guys at Estacada. I didn't like the guys I didn't like Percy Hines. Didn't like him. But there was something about Herford and what they were and the way Coach Sherwood would get us up for them, right? And the things he would say. Amarillo High. Wait, hold on. Let me back up. Mathis Meyer from Amarillo High. I hated him. I really did hate him. I saw more Alfred, but because Mathis Meyer was older than I was. He was the same age as PW in there. But I didn't like him at all. And I got a chance to play against him a couple of times that year in the regular season and then in by district. And so I learned to hate him just real quick. But the name that jumped off first was Alfred Ball. I hated Amarillo High, though. Yeah, the team was Amarillo High.
Before you ask his question, Robert, there was a guy on Canyon. He was offensive lineman, tall, skinny.
Harold.
He went to Texas. He was a teammate. And that dude got huge. I mean, he was like
he ended up playing with Brown.
Wow.
The Raiders.
Okay. All right, B. Who'd you want to knock?
Man, you probably said it. That damn Harold guy was he was playing. We had a scrimmage, and he lined up and he said, "You some first play, you little son of a bitch, you can't block me or something," because he was big. And I mean, I would hit him in the balls or stomp his foot or do anything. I hated that son of a bitch. I hated him because he was saying he was so big and I couldn't block him. Well, I was just going to be more dirty than him.
I wonder if he didn't take steroids. He did really big, really quick.
I can tell you something about that, Blake.
Skinny. He was tall and skinny when we played him.
He was 225 pounds when we reported to Austin.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the first spring, Newt was about 250. That's not terribly big, but that's pretty good. 25 pounds in the football season was pretty good. But he got big because Simon in Austin, the guys, Mike Ruther and all those guys were killing Newt, man. They were killing Newt. He was giving up too much size. And they actually thought about moving Newt to the end because he was tall and lean.
Yeah.
He didn't have the size. 6'6", wasn't he? But he had 6'6" and a half, bro. 225. Look like a basketball player.
He was a tall boy. He was tall.
Yep.
Yeah. I saw him about 10 years ago.
By the end of it.
For a long time.
Yeah.
He moved back to Canyon. Did y'all know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I saw him.
I realized this though, B. I realized how much money his family had.
Oh yeah.
They had a ranch down there and they took they brought meat to the whole team after the end of spring. The Heralds fed the University of Texas football team.
Damn.
Steaks and stuff off that ranch.
Wow.
That's what I said. Wow. I had no idea. I didn't know that.
All right, Blake, what about you, man?
Well, I don't think of anybody that I really had a lot of dislike for, but I want to mention Alfred Ball because we played against him since 7th grade. We played Hereford.
7th grade.
And I remember this play towards the end of the Hereford game. They were trying to come back and score, and he was going to do a halfback pass, but he couldn't find a receiver, so he was scrambling. And I remember seeing him. I knew how slippery he was. I knew how good of moves he had. And so I was really careful tackling. I wasn't going to hit him hard. I was just going to get him down. And he made a good move. And luckily I got around his waist and I got around his leg. And I just held on for dear life until the rest of the teammates came and got him down. Because I knew he was so explosive in the open field that we didn't want to get him in the open field. So.
Right.
Moe?
I think that best Hereford team, Blake, was when they had him and Wayne High in the backfield at the same time.
They were good.
At the same time. And then they had Alfred Martinez.
Wayne High was good in basketball too, wasn't he?
He was okay. He went to West Texas State. He was really, better grades, I think Wayne probably would have went to Texas Tech or somewhere like that rather than WT. He could
Yeah,
play.
you mentioned the Hispanic guy. I remember him. He was
Yep.
not fast,
Martinez.
but he was fast as hell.
He could run. Yep.
He ran the 100. I mean, I did
100 and 200. He could run. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Mo? Who did you want to?
Who did you want to jack up?
Do what?
Who did you want to jack up?
You know, there was a good guy at Amarillo High. I can't remember his name, but he played center on offense, and then he played defensive tackle. So we went against each other all night, both sides. But I guess the kind of funny story is, you know, they brainwashed me up there. The coaches did, and like I was always. Benny Witherspoon was my offensive line coach, and he was always scaring me to death. He'd say, "Hey man, there's this big guy at Amarillo Tascosa named Ronnie Stanhope," and he was like 6'4", skinny, and he says, "I've been praying for you," because he goes, "Ronnie Stanhope might kill you." I went. That was the only time I ever went on a football field. I was scared absolutely to death because he was big. And
he was tall like me.
Yeah, he was. And I noticed when that stretching hit, he'd bust that bursa sac in his elbow. I said, all right. And so we were on defense first, and first play of the game, we piled it up, and I looked down there and I see that elbow, boy, and I just jacked that damn thing up, you know, and he screamed and hollered, never played another game to play the rest of the game. So that was, I guess that one, and the only reason I didn't know who he was, but Benny Witherspoon, he messed with me all week. So
didn't he go with you to Texas Tech, Mo?
Yeah, he lasted like a semester, you know. He wasn't. So.
Well, before we get to the next question, I was talking to Coach Tomlin today. Because I'm trying to get Coach Tomlin, Selke, and Coach Bill hopefully next week.
Wow.
Coach Tomlin and Selke. Johnny Hill from class of 81 is going to try to help me to get Coach Bill. And actually, B, if you could reach out to Coach Bill and convince him. But anyway, I was telling Coach Tomlin, I said, you coaches had a sense of humor. And what I mean by that is they used to do these weird drills. And in the field house, I remember we wrestled. And I weighed $140 wet, I think. And then he put me against Steve Olson. I'm like, come on, coach. Really? Of course, Steve just pins the hell out of me quickly. Well, I was atop of Steve. And before the coach blew the whistle or said go, I flipped Steve on his ass quick. And his eyes are huge. And he got mad. He just threw my ass off. And the other thing was, there was this tug of war. If you guys remember, we would get our hands or knees and face away from each other. We had some kind of harness or rope tied, and we'll do a tug of war. We'll pull away from each other on hands and feet. And guess who they teamed me up? You, Bradic. I'm like, what the fuck? Excuse my language. Like, what the fuck? This guy's huge. And they put me on there, and of course, you dragged my ass. I was like, oh, okay.
That's when you had the bear crawl or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, thanks, coach. So, yeah, he laughed about it. I said, no, you guys had that sense of humor. You guys are jack with these smaller guys. But anyway, that's one of my memories with you guys. Lisa, any more questions?
Yeah, I want to know, like, what coaches were you close to? What coach really inspired you?
Besides Coach Sherwood. I don't know Sherwood did, but what other coach?
Ed Moore.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I loved Ed Moore. He was a damn good pitching coach. But go ahead, Mo. Sorry.
No, anyway, he was my defensive tackle coach, and he would, you think of how soft these kids are today. You know, I remember would always have those brand new white cleats, and we'd work on getting in a stance. And boy, if he always chewed Applejack chewing the ball, and you wouldn't get in your stance right, or you didn't have your foot back far enough. He would sit there and spit on your hand if that was too far. Spit on your damn new white shoes. And he always said, if you work hard this summer, I guess it was our senior year, and he says, I'm going to put y'all a shade tree out here where you practice at. That's good. we show up for practice, and that tree wasn't that big around, but he put us a shade tree up, so where we'd get water at every now and then. So
He had a crew cut, didn't he?
do what?
Oh,
He
yeah.
he had a crew cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Coach Moore played in the World Series, didn't he?
He
I don't know,
he played basketball for the University of Kentucky and
Yeah.
pitched in the World Series.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did he play for Rump? Is that
He
Coach
played for
Rump?
Adolph Rupp. He sure did.
Damn.
And I don't think he was probably the best football coach out of everyone I've ever had that I don't guess ever played a down of football, did he?
I don't think he played
I think he
football,
played baseball because
Hey.
he taught me how to throw my curve better. So I mean that man was I liked him a lot. All right, what about you, Blake? Who's your coach? Who did you look up to besides Coach Sherwood?
Well, I had connected with Wendy Williams, and then he left, at the end of our sophomore year.
I got to go get a charger.
He had talked me into running track just to get faster. So I went out and ran track every day, even though I wasn't on the track team, just to improve my speed. And so I really connected with him, and then he left. And so, and went on, I think he went to Muleshoe or something like that as a head coach.
He went to Muleshoe. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about you, Bradic?
I love them all, really, brother. You said I can't say, so I'm gonna say.
And we'll talk about Sherwood in a minute.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm saying we'll talk about Coach Sherwood in a minute, but yeah.
I understand. It won't be Coach Sherwood. I'll say this: the most impactful, I'm gonna say Coach Williams. The most influential would be John Hill, the coach that appealed to my sensitivity and humanity, right, would be Coach Moore. And I say it that way because in those days, we were just right down the road from this tragedy that happened to my family with my mom, right? And when I first met Coach Moore, that's one of the things that he tried to help get me past, because I think in his history, maybe he saw someone that was a little bit like the background that I came from with that. And to keep him out of trouble with anger issues and stuff, I was a little volatile to begin with, right? The first coach that ever showed up after that, the very day, was Terrell Selke. I say Wendy Williams because Wendy transitioned me from being an offensive-minded guy to a guy who embraced playing defense and loved playing defense, okay? You can be as violent, you have to be under control, but you can be any kind of way you want right here, and it's all game. He would talk that way to me, right? I don't want to leave Coach Buchanan out because he was a technician. I learned how to scrape. I learned how to get in angles and get to the ball carrier from one sideline to the other, and that was Coach Buchanan. Okay, so it's hard to do that just one person,
okay.
But there were different aspects in my life. Everybody participated in that, I guess. So if I had to say one guy, I would say John Hill, but that wouldn't entirely be the truth, Michael.
Okay.
Well, that was a really, really thoughtful answer, Robert. I really appreciate that.
Well, thank
John
you.
Hill's a good guy. You ought to put on your podcast too next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my goal is to do Coach Hill and Coach Brown. He was our baseball coach.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay.
I'm definitely want to try to get those two. And Coach Brown actually commented on one of the feeds, streams that we did, that Lisa and I did. So Deb, yeah, man, Lisa and I, we love this, guys. I mean, we're loving this, and I'm glad you guys joined us. But B, let me ask, who's your influential coach? Who did you look up to?
It would have to be Coach Billingsley. But there's a story there. When I first got there, Coach Billingsley, when he first meets you, he's an asshole. Y'all remember that? Mm-hmm. I mean, he was hard. He was rough. And then after after a little while, he became like another dad to me. And he still is. I mean, I talk to him, like I say, I get a text from him every morning. I talk to him all the time. When we were at the reunion, we went riding around for, a couple, 3 hours, and I talked to him yesterday. Hey, Robert,
Yeah.
I was talking to my mother today. I told her you'd called and we were going to be
I
on
meant
the-
to ask you about your mother, B.
Yeah, and she told me to tell you that she still remembers, your mother and the tragedy. And she said, I remember the funeral. She said, I remember going to pick him up, and she remembers all that. So
You know what, B? I want to say something to you guys. I want all of you guys, really, every one of you guys. That, I hear a lot of things about tragedy today and all the things that happen to young people, and a lot of it has something to do with violence or whatever. And I won't say that I did everything right and was perfect, because I think we all know better than that, right? But each one of you, your mothers stepped up and surrogate. My mom stood in my mom's place. I spent a lot of time with Blake. I started out with you, B, long chasing jackrabbits.
Sure
And
did.
Moe's mom literally did that. I ate her food. I was at her house. I was kicking her son's ass every chance I get, just whatever, And no matter what they may have thought about things, they all took a piece of that. They all owned a piece of that. I never forgot that, ever. And so, like, the way that the thing I think that I'm really trying to get at is the way my mom would have wanted me to be raised. Your mothers were raising you that way and just extended some of that to myself, right? And it made it easy. Now, I'll say this, and Mo will know what I'm talking about. When he came to visit me in Austin, the first time he was disappointed. I won't say what it was. My mom would have probably rolled over when, what was going on. But it was just one of those things. You do things, right? But that foundation is there. And so where I'm at right now wouldn't be if it hadn't have been for people who had their own families and took time to love me and mine in another woman's place. You know what I mean? And
Wow.
so it can be tough, but it can be done. And that's evidence of it. And it goes, a lot of times that kind of thing goes without saying. Like I told you, Coach Selke, Angel Pena came to see me it was hours later. And I was sitting in his car and we were just talking. I didn't know what we were going to do, right? Coach Selke sticks his head in the car door. I don't know how he even found me. We were off up the block, and I'm in the back seat, and Angel and Lewis is in the front, and I'm crying a little bit, talking. And he sticks his head in the car door and he starts talking to me, right? And that was the first. And then, I already had a relationship with Blake. Me and Blake go back to like the second grade. And then B. Terrell, about the same time, maybe a little bit later. My dad and his dad, and my dad built a lot of those houses in Westridge, and B there, and we were all there. And then Moe. And he's right. I'm probably one of the first persons that he met with friends. And they would invite me in, and I'm laughing because I don't want it to sound wrong, but sitting on his bed and stuff, you know what I'm talking about, no? But I think those are fond memories right now. I think about that now, and I have a son who's about to graduate, and B, he's constitutional. He's going to go to law school, and we talk about stuff, and I tell him about my story, and it's his story, and all the people, his thing is he's going to have a double major, international relations and political science, and the emphasis in human rights. And for children to have safety and security should be a basic human right. They shouldn't have to fight to survive on streets or anything else. And it's people like these guys and their parents that do just a little bit here and there, and sometimes a lot here and there, that prevents that. That's a preventive measure that prevents calamity if you'll do it. But we don't do that anymore. Everybody looks out for themselves today. You know what I mean, right? I'll be forever grateful for each and every one of you guys. Every one of you guys. I'll be grateful for that.
That's
Well said,
wonderful.
Robert. That's
And
well
I want to just chime in here, because even for those of us that left Plainview and didn't really return a lot, but what you just said is a testament to how we all grew up and the tight-knit community, and that our parents looked out for all of us,
Right.
we had a lot of secondary moms and dads because everybody knew us. Some of whatever elementary school you started with those friends, all the way through school, our parents looked out for us. And so there was a level of safety and security and, that we could rely on, and it was unconscious. We didn't, it's something that we took for granted, and Plainview's not like that anymore. We've had other guests on who've said who have remained there, who said it's changed drastically. And, for all intents, there was part of that experience was a little charmed that we grew up with that level of security and friendship and camaraderie and people that looked out for us. And that's a really, really precious and priceless gift. And I'm glad these guys' moms and these guys were there for you, Robert.
Lisa, I want to say one last thing about that. I understand what people may feel about Plainview. And even in our day, even when I was young, Plainview wasn't perfect. There was issues in Plainview. It's in spite of those issues, though.
Right.
There's light in that dark place in spite of those issues. And so my son is a benefactor today because a group of mothers individually, not really conscious of what the next one's doing, just found love for this black kid or whatever, my son's friend, right? And did something nice and it stayed that way. And so that creates a bit of a legacy in my boys that way. In Bentonville, are you kidding me? He grew up there's not many black kids in this neighborhood we live in, hard maybe two.
Right.
But the thing about it is when I start relating to him about the way I came up and the way people were in spite of those issues. See, that's the thing. And I think that one day we'll figure this out, but it's going to come at a cost for us to do it. I'm talking about as a society, as a civilization,
Yeah, I agree.
It's going to cost us everything. Yeah.
I'm going to share something with you guys. It's not football related, but it is coach related. And nobody knows this, but Coach Hill paid for my first year of college.
Wow.
Wow. That is nice.
Don and Jana Hill, they took me under their wing when I was a senior in high school and were incredible mentors to me. And Jana drove me to Tech and got me registered, paid for my tuition, and helped me get started in school. And I'm so appreciative to them. They were just I needed mentors, and they were.
Yeah.
And,
Life changing.
I agree with you, Robert, in spite of, because I have my own issues of bad memories and trauma in Plainview, and that's really why I stayed away for 40 years. But going to the 40th reunion, being on that committee, and then participating in this with Michael has been a journey of healing for me. And we don't forget, nor do we negate the past. But if we're stuck, the negative of the past. But if we're stuck there, then we don't progress as human beings. And so, again, that's a call to action to heal some memories for people, and that's one of the reasons that we're doing this. So.
Well, it's neat what y'all do. Bradic, do you know? I always remember this. The reason how we become friends, and I was born in Plainview. We moved off for 5 years, and anyway, I come back during the 5th grade, and I was the big fat redheaded kid with the glasses, and like I say, I had a little hard time, and your grandmother was in the hospital, and my grandmother was in the hospital, and our mothers got to talking in the waiting room, and then my mom. They figured out we had kids the same age, and I think I either went to your house or you come to my house, and that's how me and you got started.
I probably came to yours away from old man because he was trying to make me work at 8. So I probably hung out at your crib first.
Because remember we had those little electric football guys. Remember we had all those. So we
and I hung out at Blake's house for the same reason. I love Blake from day one, but if I could get over across to Donna Barton's house, that was a good thing, man. That Bear was crazy.
Yeah.
I love my dad.
Cool.
Don't misunderstand.
Yeah. Well, guys, before we get to Coach Sherwood, do you guys remember? I think it was when you guys played Lubbock High your junior year, and everyone the game was over. Y'all were shaking hands, and all of a sudden, a brawl it was a fight.
Yep.
Do you guys remember
It wasn't
that?
all of a sudden either.
Yeah.
It wasn't all of a sudden, Michael.
Well, we had to block a kick to win that game. Remember?
Right. Yep.
But if we wouldn't have
Oh,
blocked,
that was Monterey, wasn't it?
Stan Sherwood blocked a field.
I thought it was
goal.
Lubbock High.
That's why we won that game.
But that was Monterey that we blocked that kick, I think, though. B.
Oh,
Was it?
okay.
Yeah. Lubbock High, we won pretty easily, I think, that junior
We
year.
blew them out. But do you know why the fight started?
No, enlighten us. Yeah, tell us.
Because when we're shaking hands, somebody said, "You guys play like bitches."
Was it Greg?
I'm not saying who said that, but that's what got that started. James Johnson will vouch for that. Do you remember James Johnson, Mo?
Oh, Dynamite. Yeah.
Yep. He was talking to Victor, and somebody started off and said that. Last name was Bradic.
I don't remember the fight. I remember me and him
We
talking.
fought him 2 years in a row.
I'll be damned.
My junior year and my senior year, our senior year and junior year, we're shaking hands. We roughed them up pretty good. I thought it was cool to say that. And when I said that, he and I and then Whitfield and a couple other guys,
Yeah.
and then it just sparked from there. Greg Carter was laughing. But
Hey,
when you see Dynamite, ask him how the fight started. He'll say Braddock's mouth.
I'll ask you.
I remember Greg Carter kicking the shit out of one guy, and I remember Coach Buchanan just grabbing players,
People and throwing them. Yeah.
Yeah, he's throwing them. I was like, we're like going.
And I don't
wow.
remember that. I
No.
remember it different. I don't remember that.
Well,
It
I
was
gotta bring
bad,
up-
B. I don't see how you missed that. We fought him 2 years in a row.
Well, I got to bring up.
I
one more
wouldn't have
thing.
been in the fight. I would have been like back in the locker room, just kind of enjoying it.
Now you're a Kroger. You're striking when they wasn't looking. So, Robert, I don't know if you recall this. It was our freshman year. This is not football related, but we were in track, and I think you did the discus and the shot. I just high jumped. Well, we went to Clovis, and they had extra events that Texas didn't have, like the 800 relay, I think, or whatever. Well, Coach Selke and was it Coach Selke? No, I forgot who our coaches were our freshman year. But they got me and you, Brian. He was a high jumper. He was a redheaded kid, and I don't know who else. But we ran the relay, and we ran some other. He was just trying to fill in the spots. Do you remember that?
I remember running track. I remember running on the mile relay. You saying we pieced together a relay?
Yes, because Texas didn't have like the 800 relay. I think it was 800.
That's when everybody ran a 200 meter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, everybody runs a 220 meter. It's 880 relay. I remember that.
And,
I don't remember how we came about having to do. He just chose everybody or whatever.
Yeah,
but I
he's-
remember
he's-
the 200 meters. I ran the 100 and the 200, and they were trying to make me run the quarter on the mile relay. And I believe when we went to New Mexico, we all ran the 880 relay, which is a 220 for each participant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was Brian Billington. That was his name. He was a high jumper. I think he may have been Ginger's cousin. But anyway, let's get to the coach, Coach Sherwood. I know this man meant a lot to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to hear a story how he touched you guys' hearts. So let's start with you, B.
You know, Coach Sherwood, I mean, he had a way with everybody. He just had a way with people. You can't explain how he knew what you were thinking or knew how to I guess, pull your strings to make you do what you were supposed to do, whether it was going to class or making good grades or, you know, getting the block. He just had a way of doing that. What I think about Coach Sherwood is every time something happened in my life from 1983 until the time that he died. I remember one time I lost a big case and I was pissed off about it. And Coach Bill, who called me every week, I said, man, I'm down in the dumps. I lost a case I should have won. I get a call from Coach Sherwood. If something happened, you know, whatever it might have been that was bad in my life from the time I left until the time he passed away, he would call me and he would talk to me. And when he was in MD Anderson in Houston, I'd go over there. I was in Houston, back then 2 or 3 times a week. And, I would go see him and talk to him. And those are the things that I remember after he was a coach. He was such a great coach because he had such a great mind, and he knew what everybody was thinking. He knew what buttons to twist. He knew how to do everything. And I don't ever remember to this day of me being able to say, hey, that was kind of screwed up, or why did he do that? And so that's what I really remember about Coach.
Mo, what about you?
Well, kind of piggybacking on B, the first time I ever talked to Coach Sherwood was as a freshman, and I was stretching, and he come over and he kind of kicked me on the foot. He goes, "You that Evans kid?" And I go, "Yes, sir." He goes, "I hear you're pretty good at football." I go, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "Well, I hear you're a turd in the classroom." And he goes, "I don't play turds." He put the fear of God in me that I would never play. And I don't know if y'all remember this or not. I never drank in high school till after I was done playing for him. So I was scared he'd find out and wouldn't let me play. And so I never drank. I was scared to death of it, So he lived in my neighborhood. I sold their house after he passed away. I seen him the day he died, or the day before he died. I helped put him in his car. Saw him quite a bit. But I've got a big old red rocking chair that Jackie gave me and Miss Sherwood gave me. And but I guess the respect. I'm mowing my yard. He pulls up my driveway, and I just got done mowing my yard. I got this old concrete bench. Boy, I'm sitting there, it's hot, and I'm drinking a beer and everything, and he pulls my driveway. And I'm like, oh, God, there's Coach Sherwood, and I'm trying to hide my beer and everything, and he pulls up, he gets out, he goes, how you, Coach? And she goes, you out here drinking beer? And I go, yes, sir. And he goes, you're 40 years old, you can drink beer. I don't care anymore. And so, it was just respect, and I think back to all I had a great father and all that stuff, but I know that there would be people that fall on hard times, and he would go get Aubrey and Dickie and Bear and my dad, and they'd say, hey, this family needs some money, or they need some groceries. He did that he saved lots of kids, tried with lots of kids. He was a great man, and to me, it's just a damn honor to have got to play for him. And I didn't like him first because, he George Kirk left, and we lost a good buddy, Randy Kirk. And, I wasn't into him, but he was, I'm better to have played for him, or better to have known him. And I appreciate all of our coaches. John Hill and Pat Tone and all those guys. I got to have Ed Moore. I got to have a relationship as a man, and they were great guys. We don't know how fortunate we were to have those type of men that were that great of coaches that taught us, and they taught us about being men. They taught us, they were great football coaches. They taught us how to be men. I still, to this day, when I'm mad or something's not going right, I bring that back.
I got something to say. I'm going to throw in Micah Weeks. Micah, Coach Sherwood told me this story. Micah was getting a divorce. He'd had a bad time. He's in Dallas. Coach Sherwood calls him and says, hey, I need a ride somewhere. Will you pick me up from the plane, whatever time? Well, Mike said, sure, I'll go pick him up. He picks him up. He said, let's go eat something. Talks to him. Hey, how are you? He said, well, Coach, didn't you need to go somewhere? No, I need to come see you.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what he was.
That's impressive. Wow. Good. Did not know that.
Blake, how about you?
Yeah, I had very deep respect for Coach Sherwood. I think he showed us that you could motivate positively, as opposed to, a lot of football coaches, yelling and screaming and negativity and things like that. But he was always able to keep things positive and keep us motivated. I don't really remember hearing him raise his voice. He could just raise an eyebrow, and that would get people's attention. You knew that you needed to straighten up when he did that. So yeah, I think it was an honor. I was really happy I got to play for him as opposed to some of the other coaches of the day from other schools and things like that.
I want to say one story. He did raise his voice at me one time. I think we were playing Estacada, and it was my first start, and it was raining real bad, and we drive down to like the 5-yard line. It's 0-0, and I look down and my mouthpiece is gone, and I called timeout. he
I
goes,
remember that.
we get over there. He goes, who called timeout? And I go, I did. He goes, you're an offensive lineman. You never, ever, ever call timeout. I never put another mouthpiece in the rest of my life, and I never called timeout. I coached my son's youth football league. We need a timeout, call a timeout. I've never called a timeout. That's one and only timeout. So
That's funny. Mr. Bradic.
I think that these guys pretty much have, we were talking about surrogates. Coach Sherwood was a father to everybody he touched. I think that standing in the gap for people. The one thing I do remember, I don't know what happened. At one time I did know, but I don't remember anymore. But I remember Greg Carter got in trouble with him. And he ran Greg. He was getting ready to this is when we were like sophomores or juniors. He's wanting to put him off the team. And I'll never forget, we were all coming in. He catches me by the elbow. And he goes, go lift Carter up, just like that. And I don't have a clue what he said to Greg. There was a point when Greg was younger. He still had issues, but he would take stuff. He would do stuff, right? And I can't remember what it was, but he ran him and did a bunch of stuff. He was threatening to kick him off. And at the time, I just did what he asked. But later on, I reflected. He was really trying to redeem Greg. And there was a time where my own brother got into some issues fighting with the shore, all that. And I got a call from Coach Sherwood. And, I was away from home. I was off in Austin, but he was like, this is a real good time for you to call your brother and pick him up, And he didn't get into the details of it. I had heard it from my dad, but I was just listening to you guys, and he was good about trying to redeem undesirable traits, qualities. I wouldn't say people, but characteristics that were going to cause you to fail in life, right? He would try to redeem you in that. Man, there's a lot after the fact. People that I work for right here. The guy who was the head of Walmart's supply chain, executive vice president, was Scott Sherwood's roommate at West Point. And all I heard was stories about Coach Sherwood. I thought that was cool as hell. Wow. Some guy that I never, this guy grew up, I think he said Fort Stockton, Texas, and he went to West Point, and we were talking, and he was talking about going to West Point. And I said, I'm from Plainview or whatever, and we had a quarterback that went to I mentioned Scott's name, and he just stood up like this. And then he said, do you know Greg Sherwood? I said, that's Scott's dad. And it kind of went from there, There's a lot of people I would have never thought. It was just impactful. Coach Sherwood impacted myself, my brothers, both Ronnie and Victor. Coach Billingsley, I know we're talking about Coach Sherwood, but Coach Billingsley was the same way with my son, Brylan. And Brylan's not with us anymore, but it would have benefited him it would have benefited my boy to have played under Greg Sherwood. He didn't. Coach Sherwood had moved on by the time Bry came. That would have been a redeeming characteristic in his life. Myself, the message that was in my heart by Coach Sherwood was, you're never down unless you quit. No matter how bad things can get, no matter how far behind you might be, the only way you've actually lost is if you quit. And that's with people too. If you quit on people, if you circumstances or whatever, and maybe that's why he went to see Micah, you know, in these marriages or whatever. I've only been married once. I've never been divorced. I know it's devastating, right? But I know that that's a lot like death, and I have plenty of death in my family. You know, I buried my mom when I was 12. I buried my boy, and his grandkids. You know, I mean, his kids. Those are my grandkids. You know, my son, my youngest son, Ariel, just barely knows who his oldest brother is. You know, but Brylan's got kids the same age as Ariel. And I know this is kind of going in circles, but Greg Sherwood is in all of this because of what he tried to put in me so that I could turn around and give it to other people. And there's a lot of people that we never know. Had I not come here, I would never know Chris Saltermeyer and what Coach Sherwood meant to him just through Scott and meeting them randomly. You know, you go visit your boy at college or whatever, and you run across this guy and you never know what he's going to be in life. He goes on, he you know, running the largest supply chain in the world, you know. I love Coach Sherwood. And Ronnie, I know what he meant to Ronnie Bradic. You know, he didn't have to necessarily bail me out of stuff. You know, I said that earlier with the moms, the people. I really had a lot of respect for Sherwood, but I had a lot of people, these guys that you have on this panel and their mothers especially, right? But Ronnie didn't necessarily have that. And Coach Sherwood was there time and time again for Ronnie Bradic, you know.
And Ronnie was there time and time again for Coach Sherwood whenever
he returned the favor. He did, B. Turn the favor, B. You know, when Coach Sherwood called on, exactly right. That's what a legacy is, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Oh wow, that's some. Yeah, I of course, like I said, I quit after my junior years. I've never had a chance to play, you know, underneath them, but I know that hearing your stories and just you know, knowing about that man, he was really truly a good father figure to not just you guys, you could more, but to I'd imagine several football players or athletes, period. Period. Well, hey, you guys, Mo, you mentioned drinking. You guys were scared of drinking. So do you guys remember Easter egg hunting?
I do remember something about him, but I don't remember what it was.
I'm not going to mention the name. He's not with us anymore. May he rest in peace. I saw one of our classmates run in the bleachers, and there were a couple of coaches out there, and I was like, "What's he doing?" He got caught drinking. So he was, you know, running these bleachers, but they called it Easter egg hunting.
I'm all right. Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys remember that or not. And then you guys also mentioned, you know, Coach Sherwood put the fear in you, but he also put the fear in some of the coaches. Tell you a story. Our senior year, Andrew Dunlap, Gwyneth Dunlap, and myself, we went and visited Hart Simmons, visit their university, played baseball. Well, that Saturday we drove to San Angelo, and we were at a frat party. And was it Coach Huddleston? Was he the strength coach? He was really short.
No, he was a trainer.
He was a trainer.
He was short. He saw us. He ran up to us. Hey guys, please do me a favor. Don't tell Coach Sherwood. Don't tell the coaches I'm here. I'm like, yes,
Probably
sir.
would have got fired.
Hey, I want to say one of the funniest things, y'all may remember this, it was off season. And Tim Coleman had gone out drinking during the day. And then we had to do whatever it was, you know, running through all those drills and everything. And Tim was sick and was throwing up. And Coach Sherwood came out, called everybody in. And we were like, oh, shit, he's going to say something about Tim being drunk. He said, everybody needs to work as hard as Tim Coleman. He worked so hard. He's drunk. Oh, I'm like, he was drunk as shit. I mean,
That's funny. That's funny. Well, last Estes Park. That was. Did you guys go on that trip? It was a
2 years in a row.
2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when did the coach start? When did he start that? Hey, Mo, we can't hardly see you, brother.
Let me turn the light off. I'll be back.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Oh,
Well, I thought he was black the whole time. I'm sorry, Mo.
Yeah, I think I went twice. Did you go twice?
I went
Ron?
twice. Yeah.
So you're a
Did you go-
sophomore,
did you
junior
go, Blake?
year?
yeah, I went 1 year. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I went my junior and senior year, if I recall.
What about you, Mo?
Sophomore and junior, I went.
I
Did you
think
go?
I went 1 year, I think.
So that was some type of Christian camp, I guess.
That's an
Yeah.
SK
Fellowship of
SK.
Christian Athletes
Yeah.
Okay. How many people would attend
from all
this?
across the United
Oh.
States. I don't know. But they had
Everywhere.
like
It was
Lou Holt
crowded.
speaking. They had Keith Jackson. They had a bunch of coaches and Randy
Oh, wow.
Gradishar and people like that for the Broncos. It
You
was a
remember
big
that
deal.
Granichar was playing basketball against him? And he was playing on a team and against me, and I cut his legs. He went up and I took him out, and he forgot for a minute his at the FCA conference. He like whooped the hell out of me, man. He made him so mad he couldn't see straight. That scared me to death. He was a big boy. So yeah, every
Well,
time I see his name, I think of that.
I also want to say
They voted
one
him to the
thing.
Hall of Fame not long ago.
Did they?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I watch what's that movie with Denzel Washington, the 70s team that had that racial
The Titans. Remember the Titans.
Remember the
When I watch that movie and I see Bradic was the white linebacker, and I forgot the African American's name. I always think of you two, you, Blake and Robert, because those guys were great linebackers, and I remember y'all two were just, I mean, no one, any running back could not be successful when you two guys. So that's when I think of you two when I watch that movie.
You know, and
I'm proud to play.
when I think of
Blake.
that show, I don't remember black or white. I remember even when I was at Tech, it upsets me what the world is today. But you know, exactly. It was you know, if Robert Bradic needed a kidney, I'd try to talk B out of his to give it to him.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
But I
just
just
no good.
yeah, I know. But you know, it's just I hate what the world is today. From what we grew up as. You know, I mean, Robert Braddock's black, I'm white, but we were brothers, and I love him. You know, and I don't know that, but I think of that. I think of Plainview High School every time I see that show. One of my favorite shows. You know,
Good. Well, good.
Well, you know, I
Lisa?
think
Go ahead, I'm
football
sorry.
and sports in general was really good for race relations because we got to know each other at a deep level. And I think that was so valuable because we, you know, it's not us and them, it was us, all of us, you know.
Well, see, that's the thing that needs to be said. You had those issues probably even more so then. When you think about the time that we come through,
Sure.
1968, I was one of the first group of kids to get bused across town.
Yeah.
I remember that. I have a cousin that the whole world knows, Lawrence McCutcheon, and he got bused when I was in kindergarten getting, right?
yeah.
And so, but it's in spite of those things, Kirk, these issues give us all an opportunity to see what we're really made of. Here's what I think the tragedy is, right? You have a society that says it never happened, and you have another segment of society that refuses to forgive that it did.
Mm-hmm.
And both need redeeming. Yes, it happened. So it happened. And so we need to forgive, and denial is not good for anyone, right? When we say it never happened.
You know, here in Beaumont, I got a funny story. In Beaumont, in 1982, when Westbrook won the state. Yep. That was the first time that the blacks and the whites had gone to school in Beaumont. There was a federal judge here that prevented the blacks and the whites from going to school together until 1982.
Wow.
So in 82, Jerry Ball went over to Westbrook, and all these people went to Landry. Gerald Landry went
Gerald
to
Landry.
Was it Houston? And I talked to all these people about their high school, and you know, they had some bad situations, you know, black and white situations. because they were thrust together just like Remember the Titans. And I was
Right.
like, man, we didn't have anything like that. I mean, I don't know, we just didn't have that issue, but they had that very same issue in 82 and 83 that Remember the Titans did. And they had, bad things, shootings and beatings and bombings that whole year, the one year they won the state championship.
When I listen to you guys talk, what I can really appreciate, and this, I don't mean for this to sound any other way, but just sincere, the navigating through that stuff in high school had already occurred when we were in the second grade, bro.
Yeah.
We didn't have to worry about it in high school because we had already done collectively, had already gotten over that, bro. And so what was tragic about the situation you're talking about in Beaumont, it just took them longer to get there, B.
Sure.
Right? But
Well,
for them to say it never happened, or for us to say you owe me something because of that, are you kidding me? I'm serious when I say that.
Well, and they're still not over it here. They're still not over it because they didn't have it. We didn't have those problems. Or I don't remember ever having those problems at all.
We had them when we were younger, B. We dealt with them when we were younger. That's what I'm trying to communicate. I know what it means. Like, I can't play with you, but it didn't stay that way. Right? Yeah. Now, where it was a little bit easier for me, Ronnie Bradic was knocking them out left and right over that. I'm just trying to be honest. And Bear would have long conversations with Ronnie. Ronnie, you can't be that way. You can't resort to that. But it's interesting. This is fascinating, this conversation, because it was just 5 or 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I'm having to communicate. I got a biracial son. My baby boy is biracial. And he doesn't understand that either. Because in the community he grows up in, I don't know if there's enough to have that issue. The diversity is not here. Where I can remember what it was like to get Romy Fennell, we're going to have to let y'all go across town to go to school. I remember that conversation. The PA system and all, he stood in the hallway. We walked and got on these buses. Carolyn Cook, who's now Carolyn Cook Sellers in Houston, Texas, she held my hand. That's my first cousin. And we got on the bus and went across town. And it was scary. Nobody's throwing tomatoes. Nobody's being ugly. It was kind of quiet and under the breath and kind of hushed. But then after a while, this kid comes, and Moe and Blake. And then before you know it, my dad had already introduced me to the Terrells because I'm on a job site with him. You navigate through this thing, and I tell you what, when people get in the way of it, grown adults get in the way, it perpetuates this life cycle that's hard to deal with later on. But if you let it take its natural course, you'll be just like you guys are saying. We never had that problem. You did early on, and you remedied the problem very on and just moved on. I don't mean to be speaking for anybody, but I know what it is to have somebody spend a pickup truck on me. When I went to visit Texas Tech, and I took Leah Covey to Texas Tech, to the University of Texas Tech game, I had guys call me the N-word because I'm walking across the street with Leah. Kenneth Hallman and Kevin Hearn is behind me, and they don't know it. And he's going to get out the car and challenge me. Just maybe he drank too much or whatever. But the bottom line was, it happened. I went in that game, B, and I enjoyed myself and came out and decided, but that wasn't even the first time I heard it. It was there, bro. But what I do know is there's a group of guys that decided not to be that way and made life good for me. I can't do anything about everybody. Those that are just around me immediately in my sphere of influence made things really good for me. I have fond memories of you guys.
Yeah.
What is that?
No, it's absolutely, Robert. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I never had issues with you guys or any of my baseball friends, or any friends. I didn't. But unfortunately, when I had the issues is if I dated someone, that's when I had the issues from the parents. And but I just ignored it. I was like, whatever. I just ignored it. But amongst us, never had a problem. Never. So Miss Lisa, we kind of ran over, gentlemen. Lisa, do you have anything to ask
No.
or say?
This has been just a really heartwarming evening with you guys. Obviously, I can't talk football because I didn't play, but I cheered for y'all starting in 6th grade. But just hearing your stories and these unique and special friendships, I hope that our classmates that are watching really benefit from this and takes them down memory lane for some of their strong connections during our high school years and our senior year. And I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy lives to come and spend time with me and Michael. It means so, so much to me. And Blake and Robert, it's so nice to see you. We missed you at our reunion, but hopefully you'll make your way to another event. We're going to get together in June here in Dallas, and maybe you can come. And I'll look you up, Robert, when I go to Bentonville in June.
Lisa, are you sitting on the floor?
Yes, this is my yoga studio, and I have a stack of cushions. I have to show
okay.
you.
If I sat on the floor that long, they'd have to call a damn tow
Yeah, I
truck.
couldn't get off the floor.
I never got up.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, it was
Me and Moe went to see Coach Billings. He got into some Hall of Fame, and Moe sat down on the damn middle of the 50-yard line.
Oh, I did not, but I was hurt.
We like to never got his ass up.
So we.
you know, guys, I do want to ask one more thing, and then we got to call it. When you guys were freshmen, did you guys have someone that was a senior playing that you looked up to? Robert?
Freshman. Yeah, there's a couple of guys. I really liked Urban Davis a lot, and Kevin Woods a lot. And when I was a freshman, my freshman year, all this stuff we've been talking about, Phil Mayberry and Brett came to my house, sat in my living room for about an hour. And before then, I never had any interaction with Brett at all. But he had that year and one more year, and we had a little bit of a friendship then, as a result of him coming to visit, right? So Kevin and for some personal reasons, and Brett Mayberry, I looked up to him because he came to visit.
Wow. What about you, B?
Probably Kevin Igo. I told him that. I saw him not too long ago. Probably Kevin Igo.
That was a man.
Good
that was
guy.
a man. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why B?
I don't know. I mean, Kevin and I hope we're a lot alike. I knew Kevin, as a young little kid, and then when I got to high school, he was a man, like Robert said.
Mm-hmm.
He was a man, and just a good guy all the way around.
Okay. What about you, Mo?
I would say for some reason, and again, what's funny? Kevin Woods was black, but he kind of picked on me, and he was he was somebody that I looked up to, and Kevin Igo also. But I think Igo there. He was there our freshman year, wasn't he?
Freshman year, yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned Steve Olson earlier, and I always believed that Steve Olson was the next Kevin Igo, but the world will never know it.
Yeah.
Because of the path he chose. I was just saying, Steve Olson, had he continued the pathway, playing football or whatever, instead of farming, right? He was the next Kevin Igo, but the world will never know it.
Yeah.
There was a lot to Steve Olson, and the world will never know that.
He was a strong man, I can tell you that. What about you, Blake?
I think Brett Mayberry, one summer, Moe and I worked out with him a lot. Do you remember that, Moe? And he would work out and mentor us and stuff like that. And so I think of the older group, I think I connected with him the most.
Okay. And then last thing and this is in a promise. Do you guys remember our freshman year when the senior football players attacked each one of us? I mean, it was
Hazing?
Hazing, exactly. Who hazed y'all?
Hell, I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
No, wait.
I got hazed by Jack Ball in the parking lot.
Ooh,
He ended up in a fist fight.
Blake, I always remember one thing about you is that in high school, and me and Blake ran around a lot. He worked with me and my dad, and we'd cut wheat and do everything together. And Coach Sherwood told me, he says, "No, you're going to go both ways next year." And he goes, "Blake, it's your responsibility to have him in shape." Say something. That is not that's nothing I'd wish on anyone. He liked to, we had a key to the field house. We'd go up there at night, and he liked to kill me. But I was in shape. I was the littlest I ever been. When I
The littlest.
now, you know
Other
what?
than now,
I reported it 2:30. Only
Other
time
than
I've never
right
had a
now.
gut.
What do you go right now? I want to know what you go right now.
Me? I'm a slim trim 330.
Okay.
What do
Just
you
one.
be?
I'm about 250.
Yeah, my ass.
I
Boog,
am.
probably. Boog, you've been 250, and you went up 8 pant sizes since that last 250 you've been in. Bradic, me and you both kind of juicy, Bradic.
Hey man, I'm big as hell. I already know it.
I
Got
like
a
it.
long
That's
time
all I
ago.
want. Now, Blake, you need to find a buffet
Yeah.
like I told you before they started recording.
Yeah.
I'm about 190 right now.
Yeah, that's way too light for you, buddy.
Okay.
I
I may be
Mike Barton looks
255.
good.
I want to say something I do remember about you from high school, Blake. I remember that you were really intense. I mean, when it came to sports or preparing yourself, I remember you being a very intense athlete, like hyper focused. That's a crystal clear memory about you in high school.
Very
I think-
accurate. Very accurate.
Yeah.
Me and Blake had a kind of a pact, I think, if I remember right, about we wouldn't go off the field. You wouldn't get hurt. You didn't go off the field. If you got hurt, you stayed on. And I remember I got hurt on defense against Hereford, hurt my shoulder. And I was laying down there, and I remember you telling me, said, just lay down there for a minute, So that's the only time I ever went off the field, I guess, that I can remember being hurt. But I would never go off the field because I was scared to death of Blake Barton. Anyway,
Well, hey, gentlemen, thank you for honoring us.
hey, good to see each and
Thank
every
you,
one of
guys.
y'all.
Yeah.
I do want to say I want to do a part 2 because I told Dean Tackle when he texted me that he wasn't going to be able to. I said, well, I'm pretty sure I can get a part 2, and he definitely wants to join you guys in the next talk. So maybe the next 4 to 6 weeks we can do this again, and this time with Mr. Tackle. You guys go with that?
Oh yeah, we got plenty of lies left to tell.
Well, Lisa, any parting?
Thank you again, guys, and we really appreciate you. And I look forward to the next time that you come on and we get to chat.
Thank y'all. Hey, it's great to see y'all.
Thanks for this.
See y'all.
Great
Bye-bye.
seeing everybody.
Oh, shit, how you get off there?
We hear you, Mo.
Oh, Michael, what great fun. I thought you were going to get hit by lightning, dude.
I know. That's what I was like. I was thinking now. I'm like, I'm gonna get hit lightning bolt live.
Yeah.
it's gonna go viral.
On the recording, I just want to let classmates know there's a couple of frozen times on the recording because I'm in the middle of a really bad thunderstorm, and so my internet's kind of sketchy. So I was kind of anxious,
Yeah.
like, we got to end this before I don't have internet anymore.
And I'm thinking I'm about to run out of battery on my phone. So, but no, that was great, Lisa. That was great. And what is it? We're almost 2 hours into this show, which I don't care. I you know what? I'm hoping everyone watches all the way through. But these guys, hearing some stories I've never heard before, and this is what the show is about. Is hearing those. You want to go ahead and tell everybody who's next? Or do you,
No.
Okay, I'll tell them. Our next show will be, we're going to do taping on Tuesday. It's going to be a class of 81, Bill Harris, Joe Stafford, and Cash Terry. Maybe one more. And the reason why we have these cats is because I asked Bill Harris to join first, and because he's an Elvis impersonator. So that's going to be intrigued. So I'm looking forward to talking to some guys that are older than us. So and then I am working on hopefully getting Coach, as I mentioned, Coach Tomlin, Coach Selke, and maybe Coach Bill, either the following Thursday or the following week. So I'm excited. Coach Tom is excited, and so is Coach Selke. So I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, I guess till next time.
Till
Enjoy
next
it.
time. See y'all.
All right. Peace and love. Peace and love.